Hello everybody, welcome to the show. This is LTMB headquarters and you are with us for LTMB Live. Let the madness begin. I'm Will Gaillard, my man, my co-host right here,
Mike White.
What's up everybody? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. It's been a long weekend. We're gonna let some people filter in and make sure the audio and the video is working properly, but glad some people are with us today. Hey Jenny Lynn, how you doing? Let's bring Facebook in on the mix.
Oh,
all right. Facebook, welcome to LTMB Live. I'm Will Gaillard.
And I'm Mike White,
your regular host for the evening.
This is our, what'd you call it, our pre-Valentine's Day show?
yeah. What about, it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow. I'll be forgetting, man. It'd be creeping up. Man.
Yeah, the only reason I remember, like, Valentine's Day is because my mom's birthday is like a week later.
Is that
that's
right?
The only real way, that's the only way
I forget.
Spotty coming close, man.
I forget though. It's not on the radar though.
Man, I don't remember the last time I even did anything. Dog, man. I don't remember the last time I even did anything.
Is that right, man?
Yeah, man. I don't see. I'm in a different situation.
Yeah, a little bit, just a tiny bit,
just a tiny bit.
I'm
not in the same situation, so I ain't got to worry about nothing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. What's up, Ray Clues? What's going on Facebook?
I see some
the
people.
Nora's in here. Lorna, Carol, I'm glad you're all with us. We have a lot to cover today.
Like a lot of little things.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things. Not too many like huge stories or anything like that. There are a few, of course, and I'm sure people are aware of them. But yeah, there's a lot of little things. First of all, the shutdown. You remember when we were on last week on Thursday night, right before we went off the air, we were saying that there was no doubt that
it was like an hour. The clock was like almost at an hour.
Well, that was on Facebook.
Yeah,
before we got off of YouTube, I believe, we didn't hear anything about the government shutting down.
Oh, and then somebody mentioned it.
Yeah, we were thinking that everything was going to go as planned because they had come to an agreement, so there was nothing holding it up. But then when we got off, Rand Paul was conducting somewhat of a filibuster, so he held up the proceedings, and they weren't able to officially vote on the spending agreement. So the government did shut down, but it was shut down for what, 6-8 hours, something like that. In the morning, they got back to it, and they they voted on it. They came to agreement, and Trump signed it in the morning. So it was really all to do about nothing. Rand Paul, for his efforts, because he what he wanted to get done was, or why he was up there, if you would call grandstanding, I think we would call it grandstanding. Why he was up there was because he objected to the spending agreement because it was gonna add to the deficit, and he wasn't a proponent of that. He's never a proponent. Well, he says he's never a proponent of, increasing the federal deficit. But is that true?
That is not true, because we all know what the tax bill that passed in December did to the deficit.
Yes.
Over the next 10 years, and then continued after that 10-year period. Your boy, Randy.
Yeah.
Your boy Randy
Paul.
How did he vote in that? How did he vote? He approved of it.
He approved of it. He voted for it.
Again, that's why. I like when I saw him like doing his little filibuster thing. It wasn't a filibuster, really. It was more like
he was just holding things
up.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I wouldn't call
it. Somewhat of
it was somewhat of a filibuster.
Yeah.
I think I call it like a filifluster or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But like I just saw it as being very disingenuous. Even though he was kind of right, he was right, but he was kind of telling half truth.
He was right, but like I said, he wasn't consistent, because just a few weeks before, like you said, he voted in approval of that tax reform bill that added about what 1.5 trillion to the deficit. So why didn't you care about that? But now you care about the spending agreement. Like, come on, man.
I think he was just using it. Like he was just using his opportunity to get on his little soapbox.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You know, running for re-election, he needs some campaign material.
Exactly, because we all know, you know, how things get paid for, and he knows how things get paid for, and he knew that, you know, when he applied for his job.
Correct.
So he makes it sound like he doesn't know how things get paid for. So
he does. All right, so what we're going to get to is probably the biggest news of the week so far, and that's Trump's budget proposal. So Trump released his plans for fiscal year 2019, and it's a doozy. It's a doozy. A lot of changes, a lot of cuts to what you would call entitlement spending. But a lot of added money going towards things like infrastructure and, of course, the military.
Oh, especially the military.
Especially the military. All told, this proposal would add about $7 trillion over the next 10 years to the federal deficit, which is interesting. It's always interesting when Republicans do this, because whenever the Democrats are in charge, or if the Democrats always talk about how they need to, you know, fund different programs, it's always like, well, no. Think about the kids of the future. They're going to be hampered with this big bill that they're going to have to pay off. But when it comes to things that they want to achieve, when it comes to, you know, the military, war, they have no problem paying for things like that. And Trump just signaled the same thing. So some of the things that are in this proposal, let's get to that. Under this proposal, like we said, there's going to be a lot of cuts, or there would be a lot of different cuts. $554 billion would be cut from Medicare over the next 10 years. Let's see, there would be a 14% cut to the to HUD, housing and urban development, 14% cut, and that would be about $7 billion below what the current spend is right now, which is about $48 billion. Also, when it comes to HUD, they would also eliminate the funding for public housing capital repairs. So for the people that are in public housing, the repairs that they may need to get done to their housing, they're eliminating that funding, which is crazy. I believe we read a report saying that just in the state of New York, there is, I believe, in 80% of the public housing, there are needed repairs to the like the hot water heaters, to the heating systems. 80%.
Well, that essentially goes into the cost of, I guess, maintaining that public housing. So, like, you have to factor that in when you're funding public housing. You have to factor the maintenance and the upkeep.
Yeah, but this fund is dedicated to that initiative, to actually fixing stuff, and they're gonna do away with that. So people that are in these public houses that may need some repairs done to get heat, to get hot water, looks like they're going to be SOL under this proposal.
That seems a bit cruel. That's not even, I guess, you know what I'm saying? In terms of like policy, it's not just objectionable, but it's cruel.
Yeah, like you said, it's cruel.
Because I mean, like, because think about this. In the same way that like government contracts out to certain companies, the same thing is happening. The same thing happened in regard to when these homes or these apartments that were you know, government funded housing needed repairs. They contracted out to certain companies, and those companies were getting paid through the government.
Right.
So doesn't that kind of affect jobs? You see what I'm saying? That's, to me, it does affect jobs. You see what I'm saying? So they may be taking they may be taking this away, but they're actually affecting people's jobs, because there's people who had jobs who actually went out there to fix these things.
But this proposal is coming from Donald Trump, though. Are you under the impression that Donald Trump actually wants to help poor people, middle class people, with getting a job, with their job situation?
Oh, I mean, I know he's not.
Yeah, in rhetoric he does, but I think it's empty. So, and this proposal, like I said, it just proves it. Some more stuff. For healthcare on low-income Americans, the budget calls for cutting federal Medicaid funding by, let's see, how much percent? Oh no, actually, it's going to be eliminating the Medicaid expansion that was adopted by nearly 36 states under the ACA. It's going to be eliminating that, so a lot less people are going to be able to qualify for Medicaid. Medicaid would actually no longer be an entitlement under this proposal as well. It would become a system where the government applies either a block grant or a per person cap to individuals. And it would actually be tied to inflation, not, medical cost. Because it'd either be a block grant or a per person number. It'd be a flat rate, So I think most people understand that medical costs
rise faster
than inflation. Yes. So but Trump does not care.
Again, it doesn't do anything to address like the cost of healthcare.
No, it does not. No, it doesn't do anything big. Actually, the cost of healthcare would just go up. And that would, yeah, I mean, all right, what else? Trump is also proposing a 13.5% cut to the Department of Education. $9.5 billion.
So he wants people to be sick, dumb, and he wants people to be sick and dumb.
Sick and dumb. So far, we haven't gotten to everything yet.
Oh yeah, I know. That's why I held off. Yeah, I was waiting. I'm waiting.
Sick and dumb, and they won't be able to have hot water.
Oh, true that.
Or heat.
Dumb and dirty.
And cold.
And cold.
And cold.
Sick, dumb, dirty, and cold.
All right. For the cuts to the Department of Education, they would affect K through 12 and higher learning as well, college spending. The federal government would stop subsidizing the interest on student loans. And that would be a cut of about $1 billion over the next fiscal year.
That surprises me.
So in turn, that would add thousands of dollars to the cost of college for kids that actually want a higher learning. So where do you go? Where you went?
Dumb.
Sick.
Dumb, sick, dirty, cold,
and in debt. Yeah, more in debt than before. Okay.
This is we're not done yet. And
we're not done.
And this is coming on the heels of the December tax bill that they just passed that put billions of dollars in the pockets of the top earners.
The wealthiest
people.
Big business. Yep, sure did. Also, 25% cut to the EPA, or about $2 billion. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA. So
yeah, I'm losing track.
Yeah, I know, right? There's so many. Dumb, dirty,
sick, cold, sick, in debt, and you got dirty lungs from pollution.
Yeah.
Oh, you might have radiation too.
Might not have clean water.
Might not clean water.
Yeah.
Clean air.
Yeah. I think we missed one though. I'm pretty sure we missed one.
No, we didn't.
I think dumb, dirty, sick,
cold, in debt.
Yeah, okay. I think maybe we got them. But yeah, and then also more on cuts. They want to cut. Well, Trump wants to cut the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP program, food stamps. He wants to cut that program by, let's see, $17 billion in 2019 and more than $213 billion over the next 10 years.
Now, what does he want to replace these SNAP benefits with?
So, yeah, it's going to be a drastic kind of reshaping of SNAP benefits. So right now, and it has been for what, like 40 years, I believe, people that qualify for these benefits get money. Like they get an EBT card, like an actual credit card, they can use it, or they actually get like paper coupons that they can use at grocery stores so that they can choose what they're going to buy. Like, I mean, there's certain things you can buy, but you can choose what you're going to get. Okay. That would be totally scrapped, and it would be it would be replaced with a system where I think half of what the SNAP beneficiaries qualify for, they would get it in a boxed
a food box.
A food box.
You get it in the food box, and they're saying that it's going to be cheaper.
They say it's going to be a food box that's going to have to be shipped to you, like canned foods, non-perishable items.
It's going to have to be non-perishable.
It has to be non-perishable items.
So number one, these boxes have to be constructed.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be created by people, I'm assuming, unless there's going to be like, we're gonna have a machine doing it.
Some like assembly line.
Some assembly line with a but
still,
it doesn't matter. You're still gonna have to pay for it.
Yes.
Either way, whether it's people or whether it's a machine constructing these food boxes, you're gonna have to pay for that. You're gonna pay to have to get them distributed. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to pay the distribution of them.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out, how is this cheaper? Also, they're going to have to account for, let's say, people with diabetes. Because a lot of individuals on SNAP are elderly. A lot of the individuals on SNAP are also military veterans as well.
Right.
But as far as like, I mentioned
allergic conditions.
I was about to say diabetes, like allergies. So are they going to, is it going to be a system where they make separate boxes for everybody based on their need? You see what I'm saying? Again, that's going to take a lot of manpower. That's going to take a lot of manpower. That's going to take, like, that's going to increase the cost of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like something that you can, I wouldn't say you can't streamline it, but it would seem as if that is actually more expensive than the system we have now, where it's purely electronic. You get issued a card, and everything is purely electronic.
Right. So whatever you qualify for will be put on that card, or you will get the paper coupon.
So how can it be
easier?
This way be cheaper.
Right. Cheaper and an easier process. How could that be? Like what we're describing screams more government. It screams more government. It screams probably more government employees that would have to be involved in this process.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why it's not cheaper. Like, because again, these people who will have to construct the boxes and take part in the distribution of the boxes will have to be government employees. And if they're not specifically government employees, they have to be contracted employees through the government, which is still the government paying for it. You know what I'm saying? So, and what I really want to know is, and probably we should kind of dig into this, is what companies are they going to use to contract out, you know what I'm saying, to contract out these goods and to manufacture the boxes, to the food. Like, what companies are going to get the contracts? You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. We don't know that at this point. But in these boxes, there will be no fresh fruits. There will be no fresh vegetables. Like we said, it's gonna have to be non-perishable items like milk and canned goods, and again, you can't just create one box for everybody. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody has different needs. So this sounds like this sounds like a plan that is doomed to fail. So We will see. More about the proposal. The things that President Trump wants to increase spending on. One would be infrastructure. So he wants to spend about $200 billion over the next 10 years to fix our, the nation's roads and bridges. And now I've seen some kind of feedback on this, and even some lawmakers are saying that they don't believe $200 billion is going to get it done. There needs to be a sustainable amount of revenue that the spending is going to, I guess, bring forth. That's going to create, and $200 billion is not going to get it done.
Yeah, no, well, I forgot what agency. What is that? The American something, the civil engineers, like the ASCE. I can't remember what it is, but I think they gave us a grade D on our infrastructure.
Yeah, the bridges, the
roads.
Yeah, a lot of bridges around the country need to be fixed.
And I think their estimate as far as getting our infrastructure back up to grade, that's just getting it back up to grade. That's not like, I would say, like going into the next phase in technology, but just getting it back up to like code. It would cost like between 1.3 and 1.4 trillion dollars. And so how much is Trump devoting to this budget?
$200 billion
in the budget, and that's over a period of how many years?
10 years. I believe it's something like in the next year, about $45 billion would be, applied to the infrastructure.
Okay.
In the next year. So
the problem is, with that amount of money, whatever fixes are in the pipeline would have to be, I guess, very localized. Like, you can't like if a city, or like say a state needs, I don't know, $2 billion.
Right.
If they need $2 billion to fix X, they need $2 billion. They can't get a part of that. They need to fix all of it. So it would only make sense if that money, which is not enough, be devoted to specific locations, because spreading it out would actually not solve some of the problems that need to be fixed.
It would make it weak. It would make it so that it's not really doing anything.
It would either put a Band-Aid on something. So you kind of have to like pretty much direct the funds to specific places so that I guess all the issues in that area can be fixed, and then maybe after the next 10 years another area gets looked at. What
Trump is saying is that with this $200 billion, it would create enough sustainable revenue that it would lead to about like over $1 trillion in money that can be applied to these projects all across the country. That's something that I'm not understanding. I don't know how throwing money at a problem, okay, is going to, like, if these roads, these bridges, everything needs to be fixed, you're gonna throw money at it because you do need money to fix these problems. But how is that going to create a revenue stream?
That's going to create a revenue stream for those companies that get the contract.
Yeah, but what is that going to do for our deficit? What is that going to do for fixing all the other bridges and roads all across the country?
Because there are politicians invested in those companies that get the contracts. Maybe that's the kind of investment he's talking about. Maybe there are going to be more politicians that invest, whether it be secretly or publicly, in those companies that they know are going to get those contracts. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the kind of investment he's talking about.
Also, with this proposal, $18 trillion for border security, with I believe about $1.6 billion going to a certain mile stretch in Texas to build a wall. Something like a 65 mile stretch in Texas that they want to build a wall. Something like $1.5 billion going towards that. But they want to hire more border agents. $18 billion. Okay. And then the big one, the big boy, $686 billion on military spending. $686 billion. All right?
He's actually getting more than he requested.
Yes, it seems like he's always doing that because do you recall? This was just last week with the spending agreement. Military spending. More than he asked for.
This is more bloated than Obama's military budget.
It is.
I think it's like a 25% increase, and just like the increase alone, not the total budget, just the increase will be enough to cover all those programs that they're cutting.
But hey,
just the increase, and then have some left over.
We need a strong military, right? You remember his campaign promise. We're going to have a strong military, a military so strong that we won't even have to use it.
Okay. When mugs get new toys. When mugs get new toys, what do? They want to play with them.
Oh, they want to play with them. They want to show them off. One, they want to show them off. Two, they want to see what they can do.
They want to see what they can do. And the only way they can see what they can do is to get involved in a conflict.
Because those are what the tools are used for.
Those are what the tools are used for.
But we don't create conflicts. We don't create conflicts. That would be irresponsible. So some of the tools that President Trump wants added to the military. Right now in the Navy, we have 280 ships. Trump wants a 355 ship Navy.
Now, again, devil's advocates would say things like, "Well, those ships are, nearing the end of their life.
Some of them.
They have to be replaced."
Right. Okay.
You still not buying it?
355 ship Navy. I'm sorry. I mean, are we a weak country militarily? Are we a weak nation?
No.
Again, if you want to boost up the military, like if you want to boost up the amount of ships that you have, the amount of jets that you have, if you want to boost up defense, like it is defense, it's actually an offense. But if you want to boost it up, fine. But how about you actually take care of your own people before you get that done? Because it's not like we're being exposed to like all these different attacks here on the homeland, or even our ships that are in different places globally. It's not like we're hearing about all these different attacks that we can't do anything about.
It's not like we're just losing stuff left and right.
Exactly. Are we losing ships and jets all over the world? Not that I'm hearing about. Whatever. Also, he wants to build some Super Hornet jets. Now, this was a program that was scrapped by President Barack Obama. But Trump wants those built. They're Boeing jets made by Boeing Company. Yeah, he wants, I think the total number he actually wants in the next few years, several years, is up to like 112, I think. Something over 110 Super Hornet jets. And then he also wants to increase missile defense spending as well because, of the threat of North Korea. North Korea's
yeah, they did. They mentioned that. They mentioned the North Korea testing the ballistic missiles and how that has prompted this increase in spending in missile defense because like Kim Jong-un is capable of hitting the United States from where he is.
Not just capable of hitting them, but he's about to.
He's about to. Yeah. He has plans.
He has plans to do so.
So this is money well spent, right?
Of course. Poor people all across the country
don't have no heat.
Yeah, no.
Ain't gonna have no heat.
No hot water.
They're gonna be cold, dirty,
stupid,
and they can't breathe.
In debt.
And they can't breathe because
they can't breathe
because they taking funding away from the EPA.
Unhealthy too. They might not be able to get any fruits or vegetables.
Oh, true that. Because of them boxes.
Yeah, because of them boxes.
And they may not have clean water.
Yep. Did you say clean air?
I said clean air.
You said
I just said breathe.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the Trump proposal. Now, all right. To be real, it's more than likely that a lot of this stuff is not going to get done. To be real, the Republicans are the Republicans. We know exactly who they are, but they're not that stupid. You know?
Well, that's what they do. They throw all the worst stuff in, right?
Yes.
So they think they're going to get some of it. That's what they do.
Yeah. They want to aim high. And then start negotiating.
I would say aim low.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. That's true.
They want to be like the most decrepit.
Oh, yeah.
That they can be.
Exactly. Put all the bad stuff in there.
Put all the bad stuff that they can think of.
And then see how the Democrats are able to digest it.
And that's how they've always played the game. It's like they put so much garbage in there. It's so much of it that there's no way. It's like you got to take 90% of it out, and you look like the one that doesn't want to compromise.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And see, the Democrats are always in this type of position, no matter if they are, in the leadership or not. They are always in this type of position. When do Democrats actually aim high? They don't. They just don't.
They always aim in the middle.
Yeah, I just want to be right in the middle.
So Republicans,
and then they have to negotiate at that point.
At that point,
that's why you can't even get middle.
Because they negotiate from the middle, and then Republicans negotiate way
out there. Yeah. So again, we don't know how much of this stuff Republicans are going to be supportive of. I will say, like, the Department of Education being cut, that's not likely to happen, because actually that never happens. So and different people have tried to no, it just never happens. So again, this is just something that we'll have to keep our eyes on. They'll have to get a majority of votes in the Senate, of course, for this to happen. And that's a tall order.
The military spending ain't going nowhere.
Oh no, hell no. That's going to get approved.
That's going to get approved.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing in this whole proposal that both parties are like, yep.
Oh, including Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, I know. Ain't that something?
So, again, Trump is not a man of the people. And of course, again, like you mentioned just a few minutes ago, this is on the heels of just a few weeks ago, the tax reform legislation. So all of these cuts are being done to, a lot of these programs and things that poor people, middle-class people really need in this country. They really need it to get by. But forget that, because Trump is not advocating for you, like Dave Chappelle said in his new comedy stand-up performance on Netflix.
He's working for me.
He's working for me. Somebody rich like him. He's not working for poor class people, middle class people.
So we backtrack. We backtrack to the tax bill in December, which gave pretty much a massive break, a massive handout, a massive leg up to corporations,
massively.
And fast forwarded to this proposed budget, which seems to pretty much kneecap poor people that already have busted kneecaps. Again, on the heels of the tax bill and on the heels of the Oxfam report that came out shortly after the tax bill that reported that 82% of the wealth was held by 1% of the people on this planet. That looks like it's about to expand.
Of course it is. And so is that income disparity gap. Of course it is. That wealth inequality gap is going to expand. That's just the way it is. Not on and this is a pretty remarkable thing though. Trump managed to shit on poor class and middle class people yet again through this proposal. He did it with the tax reform legislation, right? He managed to do so again by cutting billions and billions of dollars of programs that these people need. And look, but hold on. But while doing that, he was still able to add to the deficit in this proposal. Isn't that remarkable?
Not only is that remarkable, it's probably going to be even more remarkable when we hear Republicans touting this proposal.
Right. Republicans that are always saying that the government is bloated, too fat, spending too much. That's why you got to cut all these entitlement programs. But we can spend money on the military and border security.
And I think that's one thing that people don't understand is that these are entitlement programs. That means all of us were paying into them.
Right.
That doesn't mean all of us will utilize them.
No, it does not.
It's kind of like the SNAP benefits. Like I see, like what's kind of like very disheartening is people still have these like distorted ideas about SNAP.
Yeah,
they're saying, yeah, like waste, fraud, and abuse. They need change. I'm like, it's like 1% waste. It's 1% like fraud going down in like anything dealing with like food stamps or SNAP. And most of the time, and that 1% is a little exaggerated because usually it's like these huge like rings of corruption, like a pocket where like it was like $4 million. Like people just got together, like a company got together, and they were like with 30 other people. It
wasn't 40 like a other single people. Individual.
It's not like these individuals all over the place. It's just like these instances where there's mass corruption, like huge corruption. But corruption as far as like, or fraud as far as individuals go, that it's very rare. You know what I'm saying? So and like I said, people are paying into it.
Yes, they are.
So when they get these benefits, it's an entitlement because they were paying into it. Most likely, a lot of people who are on SNAP have jobs. Most people who, I won't say most, but a lot of people who work for Walmart qualify for SNAP.
It's kind of like talking shit about Social Security. Right?
Right, because they're making it sound like it's just money that's falling down from a sky and not money that you put in.
Exactly. It's not the government just being this like big old teddy bear and like, you know what? You people are really in need. Let's give you some money. No. This money is paid for. But has to have that negative stigma. Has to. And it's not, also what you say is disheartening is it's not just politicians or even like political commentators that thumb their noses at this program. It's regular Americans. Like I remember we did a segment 2016. It was this Fox. It was about a Fox segment in which this woman at a grocery store was yelling at this man because he had some coupons, some SNAP coupons for his kid. And she was yelling at him, saying that he was, pretty much taking advantage of the government. You know, I'm paying. She was like, I'm paying for that. You know, like, it's just like, why are you doing their job for them?
And if you looked at what he had all stuff that was stuff regular people buy. It wasn't like what they say, steak and crab legs and wine. Like people always like. I tell you what,
they're like coupons, man. They're coupons. You have to get certain things that are on this coupon. If like you just can't be like, okay, I got $100. I can just go buck wild in this grocery store and get whatever I want.
And guess what? Even if you do, you ain't getting no more money. So even even if people say, well, they're spending their money on steak and crab legs and shrimp and
what
wine,
do you care?
Guess what? They ain't getting no more money. Yeah, it's not like the money runs out and they just get re-upped. They get a certain amount of money per month. If they spend their money on that, they gonna starve for the rest of the month. So it's not like they're getting more money.
SNAP provides an average of about $125 per month to 42.2 Americans. $125 a month. Is $125 a month enough to feed a family in a month?
Yo, it's hardly enough to feed yourself
in a month.
It's hard to feed yourself on that. That's like $4 a day. I mean, you could do it. I can do it, but that's not a family.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to ration.
It's hard enough to feed a single person with that much. But
that's why this isn't supposed to be like the end all. This isn't supposed to be everything that you are bringing in to feed your family. It's a supplement. Anyway, all right. So that's what we got on the proposal, and we'll see what Congress decides to do. But like I said, a lot of this stuff I don't believe is gonna get passed. Not even Republicans, like I said, are gonna be that stupid in an election year. You gotta put that in there. These Republicans are gonna have to be elected re-elected in 2018, later this year. So if they're going to be taking programs away from their constituency, that's going to be a bad look. But anyway, all right, Facebook, that's all we got for you. You can see the rest of the show on YouTube. Just click that link that's in the description. We're glad you're here. Come join us on YouTube, all right? See you there. All right. All right, so yeah, so we got a lot of different, you know, like I said, a lot of different little things to talk about. One thing that happened that we were talking about last week was about I guess it was about the Republican memo, that GOP memo, that 4-page memo that came out. Was it last week it came out? Or was it the week before last? Yeah, but we were talking about it last week and what it meant. You know, Nunes authored it and blah, blah, blah. We talked about it, kind of picked it apart. But anyway, so there's a Democratic memo that the House Intelligence Committee, before the GOP memo came out, they were like, no, we're not approving the release of this. Then the GOP memo came out. Then after that, unanimously, the House Intelligence Committee voted to release it. They voted to declassify it, and so it was sent to President Trump, and he had about 5 days to decide if he was going to declassify it or not. So early on Friday, last week on Friday, President Trump said that he was going to declassify it and it was going to be coming out soon. Then later in the day, he said that he decided against declassifying it, and he said President Trump had the audacity to cite concerns from the DOJ and the FBI as to reasons why he was not going to declassify the Democratic memo. Now, that's pretty funny. This is actually from CNN. This is about the Democratic memo. The White House included a letter signed by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and FBI Director Christopher Wray that says that they have identified portions of the Democratic memo that would raise national security or law enforcement concerns if released publicly.
Were there the same concerns there for Donald Trump when Devin Nunes and Trey Gowdy and all the Republicans were release the memo?
Hashtag release the memo, right?
Release the memo. It was like they were about. I thought it was going to be they were going to like release the Kraken.
For some reason, I recall. I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Please, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. But I seem to recall the DOJ, I believe they said they have grave concerns about the release of the memo. And then the FBI said about the same damn thing. They had concerns about releasing the memo and that it wasn't going to be provided with enough context.
But they didn't care.
No, they didn't care. And Trump didn't care either.
Trump did not care.
Because I believe Christopher Wray actually met with Donald Trump before he released it and said
there were too many inaccuracies.
You shouldn't release it.
Rosenstein said the same thing.
But he released it anyway. But now that it's a Democratic memo, it's a no-go. He sent it back to Congress and like, okay, well, you got to fix these errors. You got to get some of this classified material out of here before I'm able to release this. Wow. That
strikes me as a little suspicious.
It's a little suspicious.
Again, we don't know exactly, what direction this investigation is going.
Right. Well, the Mueller investigation.
The Mueller investigation.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
We don't know the Mueller investigation. Also, we don't know, if Mueller is even, utilizing anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Within these memos in regard to his investigation. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know that. No, that's something that we absolutely don't know.
So, all we have to go on is the activities of the people that this memo pertains to.
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the parties it pertains to.
Yeah.
And that's Donald Trump. The two main ones are Donald Trump and then Devin Nunes, considering Devin Nunes was on Donald Trump's transition team.
Correct.
So if you just look using deductive reasoning, if you're looking at how they're acting or reacting right now, you got to think there's something there because they're being very suspicious.
You got to think that there's something there to hide.
There's something there to hide. People who don't have anything to hide don't act like this.
And I just recall, again, correct me if I'm wrong. I recall a lot of average people around social media.
Oh Lord!
I remember a lot of people hashtag release the memo, and also they were saying that they wanted everything released. Everything.
You got
released.
You got into a long battle with people.
Yes, about what should be released, and so a lot of people were advocating for releasing everything. I'm talking about the whole document,
gambit.
Yeah, like 100 pages. Of this FISA warrant.
With names,
yes,
dates,
exactly.
The names of agents, investigators, targets,
yes,
conversation,
classified documents. All right, classified information that just everybody shouldn't be privy to. But so when the GOP memo came out, people were like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, see, okay, they're being transparent. That's what I'm talking about. Bombshell. Bigger than Watergate. That's what we're talking about, right? So now we have something to rebut the GOP memo. It's the Democratic memo based on the same information, based on the same exact information. But Trump is saying, no, we're not going to release that. I'm just wondering how these same people are responding to that news, because they acted like there was something to hide by the Democrats, because like the Democrats were like, no, you shouldn't release it. It's irresponsible to release it. Oh, you Democrats, you just want to hide something. It's going to implicate you. It's going to implicate Hillary Clinton and Obama, all of you corrupt people.
Did it do that?
It didn't.
It didn't do that.
It didn't do that at all. But now the shoe is on the other foot, and the Democratic memo wants to, the House Intelligence Committee voted unanimously to release it, but now Trump is holding up the process. Again, I'm just wondering how they're taking that information. Are the Republicans hiding something? Is that your analysis now? I haven't seen that.
Oh, I haven't seen that at all. I haven't seen that at all. And to me, it just shows that, maybe there's going to be Republicans that stay in the background of all this, but to me, it just seems like they have no backbone in this. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, Trump sent it back to the House Intelligence Committee, and, for them to get the classified document or the classified information in there. Nunes, he made a statement saying that the Democrats, the ranking member Adam Schiff, they need to make the appropriate technical changes and redactions so that no sources and methods are disclosed, and their memo can be declassified as soon as possible. Sure. All right. We'll see. We'll see. A few shows ago, a few programs ago, or a few broadcasts ago, we talked about the gun trace task force in Baltimore, and how there were two Baltimore detectives named Daniel T. Herschel and Marcus Taylor that were on trial, and 6 other members of that gun trace task force were actually testifying for the prosecution. Now, this dealt with corruption, robbery,
like stealing money from drug dealers, trying to I guess get drug dealers, very prominent drug dealers, to get information on other drug dealers, so they can
prominent drug dealers,
other prominent drug dealers, so they can rob them too.
Yes, yes. Then they would go to the house. Like there was one incident where they went to one drug dealer's house, got into the safe, took like what was it, $100,000. So like I said, some real corrupt type things like they would like speed into a crowd of people, apply the brakes, like stop all abruptly, and then get out and
create
chase.
a situation where somebody was running,
right, and then chase whoever's running.
Excuse to engage people,
right? Yeah, creating situations like you said that don't need to be created. You're creating possible criminals, you know, possible suspects. So, like I said, there's a lot of stuff, but fortunately, they were found guilty. A federal judge or a federal jury found them guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, and robbery. So they both face up to 60 years in prison. That's a long time, man. But like I said, their rap sheet, the things that they were doing was very extensive. Now, the 6 that pleaded guilty and were testifying against them, they haven't been sentenced yet, but their sentences are going to be ranging from somewhere between 20 and 40 years. So, you know, like I said, they were guilty just as well. So they have to, you know, they're gonna have to face some kind of punishment.
They just got less time because
they just saw the writing on the wall and said, "Look, I don't want to be in jail for 60 years, you know, the rest of my life. So maybe I can get it down to 20. Maybe I can get out with good behavior, probation, or something like that."
Again, they were gonna get something.
Yes,
they were gonna get something.
Yes.
Anyway, it's just that it kind of made this process a little more seamless.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I guess these 2 were like the ringleaders. They had to be the ringleaders for 6 of the others to join the prosecution.
You know what I'm wondering? I wonder if like they should revisit or reopen, like, now I wouldn't say every case, but maybe cases that maybe they can notice red flags in, like reopen these cases that any of these officers had to do with or participated in.
We talked about one of them, and I can't remember the victim's name. He was a 13-year-old boy, I believe.
Yeah.
In Baltimore, and he was shot dead by this gun trace task force. And he was found with a gun on him. It was a toy gun. Now, remember when we talked about this, like I said, a few broadcasts ago, when I believe it was Marcus Taylor that was arrested, they found a toy gun in his glove compartment.
Yeah, glove compartment.
He
said that he didn't know how it got there.
Yeah, but now it's like I said, it's calling into kind of speculation.
And they were saying that he was reaching for. They said he was in their report. They said he was reaching for something.
Yeah, the 13-year-old was reaching for something, and like I said, he got shot. He was found with the toy gun on him. So like I said, that calls into question that whole incident. So I don't know. I believe they are taking a second look at that. So what that will mean, I don't know. So
and that was kind of a typical activity of this task force, where they would intentionally carry guns around. Some of them were from other cases. They were real guns, and while some of them were actually toy guns, because like I think we went over this when we did talk about it initially. Toy guns are actually easier to come by. You can actually buy a toy gun.
Oh yeah, and then you don't have to do anything about registration or anything like that.
And
serial numbers.
And it's just as good as a real gun as far as, let's say, if you fear for your life.
Right. You can't tell in that split second if that gun is real or not.
Yeah. So it offers like a situation for plausible deniability.
Exactly. If you shot somebody and you think you might get jammed up on some charges, just plant a toy gun on them. Say you had no choice. You fear for their life. You know how cops protect themselves in a lot of different cases. So
I'm just kind of like, why did it have to get to this point for something to get done? I'm glad something got done. I'm glad they're getting convicted, but it had to be something so egregious,
right?
And most of it, if not, had to do with money, had to do with embezzlement, and I think that's probably why they were gone after so rigorously, because it was more about money. They embezzled tons and tons of money.
I saw I think I don't know whose attorney it was, or maybe it was even one of their brothers. I can't remember, but they were offering a defense saying that, hey, I mean, that's their job. I mean, it wasn't robbery. They were tasked with taking the money. But were they tasked with keeping the money?
See? You see the problem?
That's crazy, man.
Do you see the problem? So individuals who are related to these police officers are still trying to justify
excuse their actions. Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. There's always going to be people that will excuse the actions of officers, even if they get convicted, even if it's proven that they were corrupt. There's still people out there that will defend law enforcement unconditionally
at every turn, man. No matter how disgusting and deplorable their actions are.
And I think you mentioned one thing specifically that I guess kind of keeps this this condition of corruption going on. You said something like it's all about accountability. So accountability on what level though? Are we talking about accountability like at the department level, or is there a certain amount of accountability in regard to the public too? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. Like, I mean, look, it all, I mean, you can break everything down to where it starts with us, right? Like, what are we going to be able, like, what are we willing to accept from people that are supposed to be protecting us? What are we willing to accept? If we're willing to accept this type of behavior, then what are we not willing to accept? You know, like, we're willing to excuse the actions of officers who are creating problems. They're creating suspects. They're creating criminals.
And it's funny how it's like,
and they're not letting justice take its course also.
But guess what gets the most attention in regard to Baltimore? How much crime goes on, the violence in Baltimore, the gang violence, this and that. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I just wish that this case and cases similar to this were kind of pushed in the media just as much. Not just given some sort of, oh, look at this story and then move along.
Move along, yeah.
But I wish this kind of stuff was given as much attention as, let's say, how bad the crime is.
Because if it was, then maybe we could actually do something with, you know, reform in the law enforcement industry. You know, maybe we could actually do something if it was at the height of consciousness, like that something actually needed to be done. Because for a lot of Americans, you can't fault police officers. They're doing a job that a lot of people don't want to do. Their job is very dangerous. So there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of integrity. They're beyond reproach. But maybe if you put at the forefront of American consciousness the deplorable actions of some of these police officers, maybe that would lead to a situation where Americans are not willing to tolerate it. Maybe that would lead to a situation where other people in law enforcement are not able to tolerate it.
I think it would have to touch them first.
Yeah, I mean, that might be true too.
I honestly don't think any.
I said lead. I said, I'm look. I'm not like, I don't have rosy colored glasses or anything like that. Okay. I'm just saying it's a step. It's one step that is needed. You know, like the media actually needs to highlight these cases and see, like, look, this is what happens. Sure, the profession, law enforcement putting on that badge, wearing that gun and patrolling neighborhoods, you know, stopping bad guys. Yeah. I mean, that's what this, I mean, the country needs that, no doubt. But there are some officers that go above and they go beyond that line to where they are a criminal now. Like, that needs to be highlighted. It just does. Or
cases where prosecutors purposefully withhold information, withhold evidence,
decline to prosecute.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
but good for these two. They'll be in jail for a long time. Actually, all eight of them be in jail for a long time. Let's see. Let's go to all right. So I believe it was yesterday that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, he made some news because actually he's been making a lot of news, and we're going to talk about a few different situations concerning Netanyahu. First, let's talk about I believe it was yesterday when he made news because he said Israel had been talking with the Trump administration for quotes for some time now about annexing part of the West Bank. Now, the West Bank in Israel, that population in the West Bank, it's over 2 million Palestinians that are there, and So, I mean, annexing that part of the West Bank or part of the West Bank would be looked at as a very bad idea, because then it would be officially Israel territory. Now, we know that Israel has built settlements in the West Bank.
Settlements that a lot of people think are illegal.
Yes. And, you know, according to international law, it is illegal. Yeah. But anyway, again, they have the settlements there, but annexing it would say that this property is ours. I mean, we're taking it. It's officially ours.
Okay, so I see what's going on. They want to make something that's illegal look legitimate. Yeah. They want to say, look, it's legal now. We annexed it. Yeah. So technically we're not stealing it because we legally annexed it. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like they're setting it up so to look as if they're not doing anything illegal. Well,
there was an official in Netanyahu's office that said Netanyahu's position, quote, is that if the Palestinians persist in their refusal to negotiate peace, Israel will present its own alternatives. That's pretty interesting.
Wait a second.
That's pretty interesting.
Like, side A, I don't think wants peace, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make things worse.
Yes. And what that's doing is suggesting that side B, Netanyahu, wants peace.
You think that's what he was saying when he said that? Like, look for it, like,
he's saying that the Palestinians, if they persist and they don't I guess go towards peace, then we're gonna do what we got to do. So that's kind of suggesting that, like, Netanyahu is all about peace.
But see, I don't think so. Like,
that's true.
But see, I don't know if that's what he's suggesting. We gotta do what we gotta do. I don't know if that's suggesting peaceful methods of resolution.
Oh, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. That's, yeah, it's not. That's just
in reality. It's not.
What it is to me is just saying, oh, like, I'm good. That just justifies us taking more of your land.
Right.
So what, like however you don't want to negotiate, we'll just use that as justification. You know what I'm saying, to take more of your land. But I mean, it's like, I don't know.
So after Netanyahu made that statement, I don't know if it was. So the White House put out a statement, and that was through the White House spokesman, Josh Raffel. And I don't know if it was after Raffel's statement, or maybe Netanyahu just got word that the White House was not going to back him up. But Josh Raffel said the United States and Israel have never discussed such a proposal, and the president's focus remains squarely on his Israeli-Palestinian peace initiative. So sometime in that time frame, like I said, after Netanyahu knew that the United States was not going to back him up on this, Netanyahu, the same official that's in Netanyahu's office, said Netanyahu, quote, did not present the United States with specific annexation proposals, and in any case, the United States did not give its consent to the proposals. Again, you got to walk it back now. You got to walk it back. See, Netanyahu comes out of his mouth with some doo-doo that's not backed up by the U.S. government, but not backed up by Trump at all, and he has to walk that junk back. But like I said, this is of course, that's a scary proposition, but it's not something that is surprising, because Netanyahu, I don't know, he has said before that under his watch there will be no Palestinian state. So it's just interesting that he's saying that, yo, if Palestinians don't want peace, we got other alternatives.
Basically, like again,
what do you think peace is?
Peace to him is he's getting what he wants. Yeah. That, again, we have to see what context he's speaking in. Like, when he says peace, he just means getting whatever I want. But that's not how most people are taking it.
Right. Also, so another story. Back on Saturday, there was some conflict between Israel and Syria and Iran. So on Saturday was in the dawn hours, early dawn hours of Saturday morning, and Israel claims that there was an Iranian drone that came into their airspace, into Israeli airspace. So what Israel did was that they attacked where they said was the command center, the command control center in Syria, a location in Syria, and they attacked that command center. So they sent some jets over there, and they attacked it. On the way back, I believe that's when Syrian forces were coming at them, and there was a lot of gunfire, and one of the Israeli jets went down.
Yeah, I think they not only attacked the command center they thought the drone came from, but apparently they attacked some like other spots too, other air bases.
That was after the jet went down. In response to their jet going down, that's when they started attacking other things. But in Damascus and Syria, people were celebrating because they viewed it as like a new situation, because I guess Syria has been for a while saying that there's going to be something done. Like, we're going to take down an Israeli plane. We're going to take down an Israeli jet. We're going to do something. We're going to come with a response. And it never had happened.
And like the Israeli military has always touted the fact that like they don't lose planes. Right.
That's true. Yeah. The last time I believe was in the 80s, I believe. So yeah, this is a new type of situation. So again, that's some conflict, some brewing conflict. We know about the conflict between Israel and Iran, and what's going on in Syria. Russia's there, the U.S. is there, Iran is there. I mean,
Israel. Well, Netanyahu. I wouldn't say Israel. Netanyahu believes that Iran is supplying Hezbollah, and he believes Hezbollah is one of the greatest threats to Israel.
Right.
But like right now in Syria, you have what? Turkey, Russia, and the U.S. fighting on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
And each of them are fighting in a way that's not conducive to the other one. You know what I'm saying? If we go in there, like, we're going to fight against Syrian army that's fighting the terrorist. You know what I'm saying? And then that's going to cause a conflict with Russia. Now you got Iran working with Syria as well. They're fighting terrorists. And now Israel is upsetting that right now because of some drone they say invaded their airspace.
The thing that would have made more sense to me is if there was a drone that invaded Israeli airspace. Why don't you shoot down the drone? Why did you cross the border, go into Syria, and attack what you said was the control command center?
Because they wanted to attack, because Iran and Syria are their allies and they're working together. I think they wanted to attack like some Iran like military installments. I think that's what they went after too. So it wasn't even about Syria; it was about Iran. They were just using that situation to get into Syria to get at Iran.
There's gonna be more. There's gonna be more to this story. I mean, there's gonna be more conflict.
Okay, I'll kind of get to my theory as to why I think there's gonna be escalated conflict, because we still got to talk about some Netanyahu stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to the Netanyahu. So now this had been reported last week, and we read these reports. We didn't get to this story on the last program, but we knew about it. But seems that Israeli police believe that there is enough evidence to charge Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with bribery and fraud. So I believe it's all of the Israeli police chiefs and it's the general commissioner of the Israeli police force that are in unison, that are together on this, and they say that there is enough evidence to charge him. So there's actually 2 corruption cases that Netanyahu is facing, and they deal with different individuals, and it deals with Netanyahu demanding certain things like lavish gifts, money, boxes of like wine, just and
in exchange for
bottles of wine,
it's just the same
Cuban cigars,
pay for play.
Exactly, it's all of that. So they seem to be very confident that they have the evidence, and they believe that it seems like they believe that he should be charged and that he should be indicted. Now, that decision is going to be left up to the Attorney General in Israel. So we don't know what that individual is going to decide. Netanyahu says that there's nothing there. He says that there's going to be nothing because there is nothing.
But he said that at first.
He said that at first.
He said that at first when the story first broke. But then a couple of days ago, he seemed like he thought his arrest was imminent. Now, he was mad, but he thought his arrest was kind of coming close. Like,
I think he started feeling, I guess, the weight, the pressure, and feeling like the indictment was actually going to happen. So, I don't know.
Again, I think that's why right now is dangerous, because, like, it would behoove him to kind of get involved in a military conflict. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe.
I just think it's kind of funny that it just. I mean, they're always doing strategic missions and bombings and whatnot, but this one seems a little bit odd. This seems like a bit intrusive to go into Syria.
It seems like it's too much.
It just seems like it's too much right now.
Yeah,
you know
I agree. Like I said, it was like, why are you flexing that much muscle? Again, if they did invade your and there was nothing about, like, I didn't read anything about, like, they were being
the drone was actually was weaponized drone.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear anything about it. It seems like they discovered that this drone had came into the airspace. Now, was it a mistake? Was it non-mistake? We don't know. But they're just saying that, hey, it's in our airspace, so we're gonna go to Syria and we're gonna attack the control center. Like, that's
even though doing a little bit too much. And they even said the drone didn't do anything.
Yeah,
it was just it kind of was hovering over their border a little bit.
I don't even believe there was any word on what happened to the drone. I guess it returned to Syria, or maybe it went down. Did they
shot it down?
Did they shoot it down?
I think they shot it down.
I didn't see any reports about that. I thought
they shot it down.
I don't know. Maybe if they destroyed the command center, maybe it wasn't being controlled anymore. It went down.
It went down.
I don't know. But again, it seems like you would attack the drone, not the command center, because again, it wasn't like you were under attack. Whatever, man. Like you said, maybe it's creating a situation because you see what's coming down the pipe.
But you see what's coming down the pipe, and again, us being Israel's ally, our leader himself is facing a lot of pressure right now too, and maybe an impending impeachment or a pending indictment of some sort.
Something. Yeah.
So again, like
low approval numbers.
Again, and we would get involved if Israel's involved.
Of course we would.
You see what I'm saying? So it would work for both of
them. One other part of news in that region. So yesterday, it was reported that Russian President Vladimir Putin actually met with the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas, or Abbas, I don't know, but they met at the Kremlin, and he said that President Donald Trump, actually gave him permission to speak on his behalf. He said that he had just got off the phone with Donald Trump before the meeting with the Palestinian leader, and that he told Putin to convey to the Palestinian leader his best wishes.
What are those best wishes?
I don't know.
What does that even mean?
I don't know, man. It seems... No, it's beyond weird. It's beyond weird, man. Of course, see, so the Palestinian leader, I don't know how this meeting got arranged or what, but because of President Donald Trump some weeks prior, him saying that the U.S. is now going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, that upset a lot of people in that region, in the Middle East. And because of that, the response to that was Palestinians feeling like the United States will no longer be a mediator in any negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. So I guess that's part of the reason he's meeting with Vladimir Putin. I don't know. I really don't know. But it is very strange for Putin to be speaking on Trump's behalf, especially considering the fact that Trump is kinda under investigation for collusion with the Russians.
Or I would say I wouldn't say collusion, but his financial interest improper financial improper financial dealings with certain members of the Russian government and I guess Russian crime families or whatever. Again,
it's weird.
I'm not gonna make too much of it.
I'm not gonna make it is weird though. You gotta say it's weird.
It's weird, but we're dealing with Trump.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
we're dealing with Trump. So if Trump makes himself want to seem like he is like remotely interested in, I guess, being involved in this peace process over there, he's going to try to insert himself.
Right.
That's all he was doing. You know what I'm saying? Because he doesn't know how to actually negotiate at all with the issues as far as foreign policy, because he doesn't know. So I think that's just his way of inserting himself into something in a very passive aggressive way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why I say it's not. I don't think there's anything there. I just think that it's only weird because it's Trump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Again, it's weird. It's weird though. I was wondering if Trump was going to be asked about it today. Reporters going to ask about him, but I hadn't heard anything. I haven't seen anything, so I would suspect that reporters be like, "Is this actually true? I mean, did you actually approve Putin to speak on your behalf, to speak with the Palestinian leader?" Huh? But I haven't seen anything. So anyway,
yeah, because when somebody speaks on your behalf, that means like they're not asserting, I guess, positions that you deem valuable. It means that, like, Putin, for example, like whatever he, I guess, proposes, I'm for as well.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm with Putin. Like, whatever he says, like, I back. You know what I'm saying? I co-sign on.
Like he's an extension.
Like he's an extension
of Trump. Again, weird. Again, very weird. All right, anyway, but more Trump news. Okay, so the Philippine president, Rodrigo Duterte, he's faced some fierce backlash recently. Now, he has faced fierce backlash ever since he stepped into office in 2016 because of a lot of his different comments that he has made, a lot of his different actions that he has made. But this time, he had some comments on February 7th. Now, in the Philippines, there's a conflict with the government and the Communist Party. I forgot what they're called, but they're like the communist movement, and they're kind of in this guerrilla war, and this like guerrilla warfare, and it's been like that for a little while. So anyway, on February 7th, the Philippine president Duterte said, quote, "Tell the soldiers there's a new order coming from the mayor." He's the mayor. "We won't kill you. We will just shoot your vagina, so that if there are no vaginas, you would be useless." Now, of course, that was translated into English. He was speaking in another language. But that's what it translated into. He was sending word to the female soldiers that that the government will shoot them in the vagina, so that if their vagina is no longer there,
because all they are good for is
their vagina.
Their vagina. Now, he can mean that in multiple ways. Because knowing who he is and what he said before, I'm thinking he meant that in a couple of different ways. He meant that in, whatever, you're a woman, all you're good for is having babies.
Right.
And you're a woman, and all you're good for is fucking.
Yep.
Because I remember he said something else jacked up in like some infamous gang rape case where he said something about he should have been first in line.
Yeah, there was like a prison riot or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was it was who was this? It was an Australian missionary, and there was a riot, and inmates had raped her and killed her. And this was his quote. He said, "I was angry because she was raped. That's one thing, but she was so beautiful. The mayor should have been first."
They have been first. He didn't he say something about like shooting drug addicts in the street too?
Oh yeah.
I forgot how that was last year.
Yeah, he like I said, this is par for the course. He has said a lot of objectionable things, but a lot of things that are very misogynistic as well. I believe he joked one time about raping Miss America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like I said, he's had a lot of troubling comments. But what you're talking about with the drug thing, so he, a large part of, I guess, his presidency is about doing something about the drug problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may. By just saying that, you may think, okay, well, that's noble. That you want to do something about drug addiction, drug problem. Okay, that's no problem there. But what he wants to do is actually kill these people, not just drug dealers. No, not just drug dealers, the drug addicts as well. He wants to kill them, and he has killed a lot of them.
This drew a lot of attention from human rights activists,
yes. Mm-hmm.
And once that started, once those human rights activists started kind of, I wouldn't say targeting him, but yeah, they kind of were targeting him. Mm-hmm. He threatened to kill them. He threatened to kill them too. He threatened to kill human rights activists, dude. I was like, I mean, it's easy to see why Trump admires this dude.
Exactly, because
he wants to shoot him in the pussy. Trump wants to grab him in the pussy, grab him by the pussy. So it's easy, but it's kind of weird that Trump likes and admires this dude, but not Kim Jong-un. Isn't that kind of weird? As far as, because I think like his whole justification for his dislike is how he treats the people. Right?
Well.
Right?
Yeah.
So how come he admires Duarte?
I guess there hasn't been a long-standing beef with the Philippines.
True.
There's been a long-standing beef with North Korea that he had just kind of continued.
Yeah, long-standing beef, but what does that beef boil down to? These mugs don't practice capitalism, dog. As long as, you know what I'm saying? As long as the Philippines continues to support capitalism, we're going to be tight-lipped about whatever goes on there. Right. Human rights don't mean shit. You know what I'm saying? As long as they're a capitalist country,
and there's money to be made.
There's money to be made. Then human rights don't mean nothing. We only bring up human rights when, a country has a slightly different economic system.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or they want to be, I guess, economically nativists themselves. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said, Trump has praised this dude. There was a phone call that got leaked out where he said he was doing a, quote, unbelievable job with the drug problem in the Philippines. Now, this is the same guy, the president of the Philippines, Duterte, who has said, quote, Hitler massacred 3 million Jews. Now there are 3 million drug addicts in the Philippines. I'd be happy to slaughter them. President Trump praised that guy for doing a bang-up job on the drug problem. Oh boy. You want to get? Let's do the.
You want to do the Lissa or
yeah. So there's a citizen named Lissa Lucas. This is in the state of West Virginia. There's a video that we're gonna show you, and she took to the floor. The House floor on Friday, to talk about a bill that's being pushed in the House that she objects to, and part of the reason why she objects to it. So the bill The bill is called House Bill 4268. And it would allow companies to drill on private land after obtaining a consent of 75% of the landowners. Now, that's a problem because an individual in that case can't just be like, no, you're not going to come on my land and drill. You know, I might have mineral rights. You're not coming on my land to drill. All they would need is 75% approval from all the landowners. And it doesn't matter what you say. I'm coming on your land and I'm drilling. Doesn't matter what you say. So that's why people like Lissa Lucas are, you know, objecting to this House bill. And what's interesting also is that from her own admission, she's not exactly against gas, like fossil fuels. She said, like, in that area, like, a lot of people like the gas. It's just that if this is allowed to take place, then it doesn't matter if I have property or not. You're going to be allowed to come take it, come drill on it, no matter what I say about it. So that's what her gripe is. But anyway, so she went to, you know, so she went to the House floor and she spoke for a little while. She wanted to highlight some of the problems with this bill and who's pushing the bill. And I guess, you know, how can I say this? You, I guess, whose like, pockets they're in.
Yeah, it's basically like I guess drawing the connection between who's pushing the bill and who's pocketing money from the industry that benefits from the bill.
Right. So we have a little video. It's about just under 2 minutes long. At the beginning, too, there's some weird music. I don't know why this weird music is playing, but it's only
lasts about 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's about 5-10 seconds, something like that, and then it goes away. I don't know why that weird music is there, but it goes away. All right, so we're gonna put this video on. Just give us 1 second here. All right. I think we're good here. All right, let's put the video on for you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Lissa Lucas, followed by Scott Wyndham.
It's Lissa Lucas. And first, I'd just like to say that no jobs will be created by this. If we could get a guarantee of jobs, that would be great. I'd also like to point out that the people who are going to be speaking in favor of this bill are all going to be paid by the industry, and the people who are going to be voting on this bill are also often paid by the industry. For example, and I have to keep it short simply because the public only gets 1:45, while lobbyists can throw a gala at the Marriott with whiskey and wine and talk for hours to the delegates. So to keep it short, on the Judiciary Committee, Charlotte Lane, about $10,000 from gas and oil interests, including AEP, Marathon, First Energy, Dominion, EQT, and I could go on. Next, let's talk about John Schott from Mercer. First Energy, $2,000. Appalachian Power, $2,000. Steptoe and Johnson, that's a gas and oil law firm, $2,000. Consul Energy, $1,000. EQT, $1,000, and I could go on. Now let's talk about Jason Harshbarger.
Ms. Lucas, we ask no personal comments be made. If you want to talk about
this is not personal comments.
It is a personal comment, and I'm going to call you out of order if you're talking about individuals on the committee. So if you would just address the bill. If not, I'll ask you to please step down.
Jason Harshbarger took $3,500, about 40% of his money comes.
All right. First things first. Who could hear the video? Could anybody hear the video? Because the volume was completely turned all the way up. And
we could hear it fine.
Yeah, we could hear it fine. There's nothing different we're doing with the videos. But the last few times we have played videos, seems like a lot of people that are watching could not hear it. So is there anybody that's watching that could hear it and it's at a reasonable level that you don't have to kind of like put your ear to the speaker? couldn't
So
hear
Tara
it.
couldn't
It
hear
was
it.
soft. Yvonne says she heard it.
She heard it.
Heard it faintly. Had headphones. Okay, on headphones they could.
So
they
on
could hear
headphones
it.
you can hear it.
So yeah. So obviously there's something. I guess that's the thing that happened. Maybe with the software update. I don't know with the software, because this was never a problem. Whenever we played videos, you were able to hear it. But anyway, for those that didn't hear it, that was Lissa Lucas. Okay, and what she was basically saying was that. Well, because she was kind of lamenting the fact that she only had a certain amount of time to speak, but these
politicians get to have these, events,
galas.
Dinner parties. I like she said galas.
Yeah, galas.
I love it. I like she said galas,
Yeah.
where they get to, these corporations get to entertain these politicians,
These
and
oil
these oil executives has the ears of our representatives.
Yeah, not for just a minute 45.
Not for just a minute 45,
right?
But for hours on end,
Yeah.
Smoozing and
Yes.
giving them, gifts, monetary gifts.
No doubt. So anyway, so she, like I said, she lamented that fact, but then wanted to highlight how some of the people that were approving of this bill and some of the people that were sponsoring this bill were directly in the pockets to the oil and gas industry. All right, and so she started reading off a few names. She read off 2 names. One of the names was one of the people that were right there. His name was John H. Schott.
Yeah, she was reading off the names, their name, and how much money they received.
Yes, from the industry.
She was like putting mugs on blast.
Yes.
Yo, I loved how she stepped out there. It's Lissa. Like, so let's first of all get my name right.
Right.
I like how she stepped out there like that, though.
But yeah, so that one guy, John Schott, he didn't like this at all. So he spoke up after she read the second name, and she was about to read a third, and he said, "Hold on, hold on. Look." This isn't going to be about personal comments, okay? We don't want to make this a personal thing, okay? And she was like, hold on.
Personal comments are not allowed.
Yeah. She was like, hold on. This isn't personal. This isn't personal at all.
This is like pertaining to a bill that the people of my state are going to be affected by.
Yes. And they should be informed about the people that are pushing this bill and how they have ties to the oil and gas industry, like financially. And it may cloud
their judgment.
No, hold on, not cloud. It may
it may influence their decision. It may influence.
Influence.
See, I thought you were going soft.
Nah.
Okay, all right.
Nah. Yeah, we know it's going to
corrupt their judgment.
It's not going to just be like, oh, well, let's weigh this, let's weigh that, let's have a discussion about it. No. During these galas, they have already made the decision. Yeah.
But I guess my impression of her is, she got a huge set of ovaries, dog.
Yeah, man. It took a lot. Yeah, it took a lot to get up there, she articulated it very well. Her position.
I don't know if I could have been there though with her, and because I might have been in jail, dog. I don't think I could have been there with her, because when they came up and got her, dog,
yeah, they had to come and get her because she wasn't stopping.
She wasn't stopping
because they told her, no personal comments. She was like, this ain't personal, but then she was like, no, you're not gonna do that. She kept on doing it, and then they cut her mic.
We're gonna have to come and get you, but. She didn't say this, but this is how I took it. She was like, well, come get me then.
Yeah. Well, actually, at the end, she did say, well, carry me off then.
She was like, well, come get me. She was like, I was like, God, dog.
Yeah. And she said, I guess to reporters later, she said, I think politics must suck your soul out somehow. I don't really care so much if I win or not, so long as whoever's representing us is not attacking our property rights. So she's actually running for state office in West Virginia too, because of this, because of problems just like this. And she also said that people out here, I already said that, but this was she said people out here aren't against drilling and fossil fuels by and large. In general, people like the gas, is that we don't want the property invasion. These corporations are trying to force people to give up their mineral rights, force people to take bad leases. So
she was voicing her concerns as a citizen, and she gets yanked off the House floor as if she was she committed a crime or something.
Again, I think, you know, like, what did we all do? I mean, like, a lot of people in the 2016 presidential election were paying attention to what? Money, right? Money in politics. A lot of people were paying attention to super PACs, all the money that was being taken in by certain politicians, and a lot of people that gravitated towards Bernie Sanders. There was one main reason, and it was because he wasn't taking money from corporations. He didn't have a super PAC, right? So that led a lot of people to believe, well, this is one guy that won't be corrupted by the money, because, of course, if you take the money, there's going to be strings with that money. So if he has no strings to that money, then he has nothing telling him that he has to do this, you know? Because they're not just giving this money to these politicians for no reason. They're not giving hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to these politicians just because they like them. No, they want an investment. I mean, like, well, no, the money is an investment, and they want a return on that investment. They have certain goals that they want some movement on. I mean, certain things that they want some movement on. They're giving these politicians goals. Like, here, this is what you got to do. And we know the politicians do that. So for the constituency to know exactly who are paying these politicians, especially as it concerns one bill. And, you know, like I said, this bill is about landowners' rights and about the oil and gas industry. The people that are pushing it don't seem to have the landowners' rights in their mind. They don't seem to be advocating for landowners. So
who are they advocating for?
They're advocating for the oil and gas industry.
I think even though she didn't get to finish, I think it's a win-win for her.
If it gets out there, yeah. It seems like it is.
It seemed like it kind of went seemingly viral.
Right.
But I think she said enough to highlight the massive conflict of interest. You know, behind this legislation, behind this bill. But I think shushing her actually had probably a negative effect.
The adverse effect.
You see what I'm saying? I think it, I guess, validated her words. Yep. And so they got exposed because she became, I guess, I don't know, she became that person that, I guess, she became an avenue for transparency right there.
She became an icon for fighting corruption. That's what she became, because one, she wasn't afraid to address it right there in front of their faces, and two, because she wouldn't stop when she was told to stop, and she had to be carried off. So, I mean, like I said, money in politics is everywhere, anywhere and everywhere. In the 2016 election, if you remember, Hillary Clinton was taking money from the private prison industry. Now, when that got out, she said she was no longer going to take any money from the private prison industry. Now, that did nothing to ease my mind, because I know exactly who she is. She was still taking money from a lot other industries that I wasn't in approval of. But just that it was a bad look for her. She had to make an action like that and say, hey, you know what? I'm withdrawing my support. You know, I can't accept money from this industry anymore, because as she was saying it, she's against mass incarceration. She's running on that, right? So how does it look for you to be against mass incarceration but taking money from the private prison industry? So the same thing in this bill. Like, how are you actually representing the people, but you're doing the bidding, it seems, of the oil and gas industry, because they are the ones who are paying you. And they are the ones that are obviously funding, will probably fund your re-election, throwing these fundraisers for you, galas, you know. So anyway, good job for her though. Good job for her. And if she didn't have a lot of I guess exposure and recognition before this, she does now. Maybe that will help her in her
campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
She running for what?
She's running from the House, for the House of Delegates in the state, as a Democrat in the 7th district. So, like I said, maybe that will help her along. I think that's we got. There's one more that, I mean, it's not really a story, you know. It's kind of a story dealing with President Trump, right? So, the CIA director, Mike Pompeo, today on Tuesday. He testified that President Trump's suggestion that the agency, the CIA, had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars. Actually, I think it was about $100,000 spent to buy some, harmful material, some information about President Trump. He said it was based on, quote, atrocious and ridiculous information. So what this is about is there were some articles that were posted last week by the New York Times and The Intercept. And what they reported was that officials in the government, in the CIA, had agreed to pay this Russian individual, I believe, $1 million for some cyber warfare tools, some cyber warfare weapons that actually was stolen from the CIA. But this guy, in turn, I believe he was, it was stated that he was paid $100,000. Then after that, he was trying to get them information on Donald Trump, some erroneous information, some like unverified information on Donald Trump. And they were like, nah, we don't want none of that. We're going to cut it off now. But it's like they got duped because they already paid this man about $100,000. Now, after that story was put out there, Trump put a tweet out on his Twitter account. And this is what Donald Trump said. This is on February 10th. According to the New York Times, the Russians sold phony secrets on Trump to the U.S. Asking price was $10 million, brought down to $1 million to be paid over time. I hope people are now seeing and understanding what is going on here. It is all now starting to come out. Drain the swamp. Now, I don't really have anything to say about the story per se. I don't really care. I could really care less. Because really it's just nobody's really going to know the truth. Like the actual truth. I mean, like, is the CIA lying? Is Pompeo lying? Is Trump lying? Or is the New York Times, the Intercept lying? Do they have bad information? Like, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, Intercept seems to be a reputable organization. I read a lot of their articles. But how could you prove what's right, what's wrong, right? So that really, I could care less. What strikes me as interesting, though, is Donald Trump cited the New York Times as his reference. Donald Trump cited the New York Times as his reference to prove that people are out to get him, that the CIA is out to get him.
Also, he says this New York Times piece validates that narrative.
Yes.
But what's...
Drain the swamp.
But wait a second.
Officials in the government are trying to undermine his presidency.
Wasn't New York Times like on his list of fake news agencies?
Yeah, it has been for a while. If you go back and look at his Twitter account, which it will be very extensive, but many times Donald Trump has cited the New York Times as a fake organization, as a fake news organization. He has kind of celebrated their supposed demise. He said, like, yeah, they're doing terribly, but a lot of fake news stuff, a lot of fake news being thrown at the New York Times. And actually, just some weeks ago, you remember Donald Trump had that fake news awards that he was given.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Different people in different news outlets.
That totally fell off my radar.
Yeah, I know. We didn't say anything about it because it was so ridiculous. But here is applicable. So the New York Times, they appeared on this list. I believe they appeared on the list twice. New York Times did.
But see, actually,
so the organization is fake news.
And honestly, it's like, when we were going over this before the show, I can kind of, I guess, like project this kind of attitude outwardly, like away from Donald Trump, You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I can project it outwardly to the public too, because not only is Donald Trump doing that now, where he's kind of being whatever his position is, it's being validated by a news source that he once called fake, but he's using it to support whatever position he has. That's kind of something I see a lot of people doing, actually.
A lot of people do the same exact thing.
A lot of people do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I know plenty of folks don't like the Washington Post,
right,
and New York Times, and rightfully so in some cases.
Right.
They'll say they're biased, they're pro-establishment.
Right.
You know, their stories are slanted in a certain way.
Correct.
But as soon as they do a story that paints, let's say, Hillary Clinton in a bad light, you're okay with using that as a reference.
That's
now.
Good reporting. Look, oh my God, they did some good reporting.
So is that not? So it's not fake media now, or is it that you are more practical and pragmatic about media than you're leading on? That's kind of how we talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think some people are more pragmatic and practical about the media than they lead on. You know what I'm saying? If you see an honest story and it does contain factual information and it's not slanted and it just lays everything out, and it comes from the Washington Post or the New York Times or Newsweek or CNN or whatever, you have to say, oh damn, like I really can't say anything. So you got to take it for what it is, based on maybe whatever journalist wrote it. You see what I'm saying? You got to view that story in a vacuum, and you do that. We all do that, and you know you do that. So we can't just outright say, like, everything they say is just fake, and we don't listen to it at all. And I'm like, didn't Bernie Sanders make appearances on almost all these news networks? All of
them, every single one.
So you're not
been interviewed by all these different news outlets, man.
Didn't Elizabeth Beck go on, what was it?
CNN. Yeah.
She was the lawyer for the one of the lawyers in the DNC fraud lawsuit. Didn't she go on CNN?
She did.
Y'all don't know what that's about.
She did.
Y'all don't even know what that's about. We may get to that maybe on like the After Dark show. But yeah, so I'm like, you know, you got to like kind of pick your battles. And that's what most people do with the media. Even if it's mainstream, they pick their battles. They're not completely shutting the door. They're not completely closing off or, you know, kind of blocking their, you know, their own, I guess their own viewership. They're not doing that. I guess I just wish people would be more honest about how they engage in the media, as if like they're not like watching mainstream media, or they don't ever believe mainstream media ever, and it's all lies, lies.
It's kind of ridiculous, man.
Until New York Times, you know, put that story out about Uranium One. Then they about something.
See, like you. Okay, so I remember during the 2016 election, we did a couple videos, at least two, on Rachel Maddow, because it was so obvious what she was doing, trying to excuse Hillary Clinton, right? And it was so sad. It was like, ugh, really?
Look at these stack of papers.
Right.
This all has to be classified.
It was
too
laughable.
Much work.
It was laughable, right? Now, we are outside of that season now, right? It's 2018. If we put on an episode of Rachel Maddow, which since that time, I think I've only seen like one or two, maybe, right?
Yeah, I know. I've not seen. I've seen.
Now, I won't say a whole episode, but I have seen segments. I think of on two nights, right?
Blasphemy. Blasphemy.
Now, if we were to put those, if we were to put her show on, do you think there would be a lot of information that we would agree with? Probably so. I would think, no doubt, actually, no doubt so, because it's not going to be about her excusing Hillary Clinton or the Democratic Party. Maybe that will come to light in certain segments, but a lot of the things that she says are probably going to be right in line with the way we're viewing the information. So for anybody to say like you can't watch mainstream news, it's kind of, it's like, yeah, you can. Like, you just, like, if you know how to read information, then you know what's bullshit and what's not. Like, if it's just news being thrown at you, then like you can kind of dissect like what's real, what doesn't sound, what doesn't sound real, like question marks. But if it's analysis, then that's where more you got to be like, you know what I'm saying? Because we do that all the time. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, when it's opinion based, then it's like, man, these guys are full of shit, man. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're trying to sell something.
It's easy to recognize when something becomes opinion based.
Right.
It's kind of easy to recognize.
It's very easy to recognize. But look, mainstream news still has a place. They'll always have a place because there's going to be breaking news to deliver. There's going to be certain things. Like, we don't have access to what's going on around the states. Like, a lot of people do not have that type of access. We don't got cameras in California. We don't have cameras in Atlanta or North Carolina. Like, we just can't get to these places in time when something breaks out. But these mainstream, these mainstream outlets, of course, they do. They have the manpower, they have the money, they have all that type of access. So you do have to rely on them for some news. You just can't get away from that. So
that doesn't mean, like, I guess that the agenda that they project is similar to yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, it doesn't mean that.
Like, use your reasoning straight up.
Most of the time, it's not.
Exactly.
Like, I can say, like, even when we find out about, let's say, like, I don't know, some unarmed person got shot, or something went down. I can say in a lot of cases, the outlet that I'm viewing it on and how they're talking about it, I think it's lacking a bit. Like, a lot. You know what I'm saying? I think it's lacking. Yeah. I don't like kind of how they're talking about it in a lot of cases. I think a lot of, like, how they're covering it is very empty. They're just there to cover it, and I already know this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I just don't go into it with the same kind of, I guess, mindset.
But see, what you're looking, I mean, like, well, we might be looking for things that are different because we got a show to do. So if somebody says something that's very out of place or doesn't make sense, that might be something that we talk about on the show. But for the average viewer, and for us at times when we want to hear the news, that's all we want to hear. We want to hear straight news. So I don't need to put on Don Lemon because that's not straight news. I don't need that, because that's a lot of analysis. That's his opinion. I need to hear, like, what's going down, like the straight news of what's happening. I don't need to hear your opinion, and I think that's a lot. That's what a lot of people feel too. So you can, get away from those type of programs. Rachel Maddow and, Chris Matthews and all that crap. Now, you don't really need to see that because, like you said, especially, man, Chris Matthews.
Yo, Chris Matthews is like he sucks every. If there's a butthole to suck.
And not just Democratic.
If there's a butthole to suck, Chris Matthews is on it.
I can't get down with them. I can't get down with Chris Matthews. Man.
And what they do is they will purposely put on some very insightful programs, or they'll do like an insightful segment.
Right.
Like what Chris Hayes?
Yeah.
From MSNBC?
Right.
Remember he had the dude on, the kid? We uploaded the video a long time ago.
What kid? From
Chicago. The dude from Chicago. I forgot his name. He's like an activist. It was like one of the like videos that are ours that we uploaded that got a lot of views. But it was basically he advocated for police reform. He was basically an activist. And they will do things like that. They will do they will have insightful programming to kind of like get people back watching because now they care about the community. So you just got to kind of take all those types of segments they do with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't invalidate those segments. They are going to do stuff
that's worth watching.
That's worth watching.
Yeah.
And they have to do that to kind of keep people engaged. You just got to be wary of all that other nonsense that goes on.
Like these, like the after debate segments that they do. Like, we just do that just for pure entertainment, and just like if we need something to talk about on the show as it relates to whatever they're talking about, then we can use that. I mean, sometimes it gets really ridiculous. What was the last one we talked about? That was after the State of the Union. when they were talking on CNN.
Yeah, now that was fun.
They just go back and forth, and like I said, it's a lot of all of that is opinion based. So a lot of that is garbage.
And that's the thing. It's like it's opinion posing as analysis.
Yeah, it's posing as straight facts. What's your bet? What was it? The Republican that was on the
Santorum.
Santorum.
It was
Rick
Santorum going back and forth with Van Jones. And there was somebody else too that was on the end of the table. I just couldn't remember his name.
Yeah. Anyway, but whatever, you know. Like I said, you just gotta be, you just gotta. You can't get away from mainstream news. Like I said, it is important in our society, and and knowing what's going on, because like I said, independent news is not going to be all for you. Like it's just we don't have that type of access. I don't think any independent news really has that type of access. Young Turks is the biggest independent news
with that kind of access.
Yeah, but they still don't really have that access though, because a lot of the things they're reporting about is based on stuff that has already been reported. They're not breaking nothing. You know what I'm saying? They're not breaking any news. It's not like they got a microphone in front of President Trump or some politicians. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do those interviews. But I'm saying, like, they just can't be on location everywhere. So, like I said, mainstream media still has a place. It's just that you got to filter out the garbage.
Moose Gal says, how do we protect workers from automation, the automation wave? Well, the wave is already here, yo. The wave is already here. There are a lot of places that, they use touchscreens for ordering now. They don't, or there's not a human to talk to. They do, you put your order in, and it's people in the back working, and they fix your food. I don't think automation is going to take over everything. I think there are going to be certain jobs that essentially are going to be done away with. There's plenty of jobs that's already happened to. You look at car manufacturers. A lot of like the fabrication that's being done before the car gets the automobile gets put together is done by machines. So that wave has been here. It's already kind of come upon us. So there's nothing we can do about it. I think we should focus on creating an education system that accommodates that. So I think the jobs are just shifting, and I think there's nothing we can do. If you just want to just stop advancing technologically, yeah, but there's really nothing we can do about it. Maybe we should just focus on centering education surrounding that technology so people will have jobs. That's just my position. I'm just trying to be for real about it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't really have a lot to add to that. We've said it before. We live in a service-based world, right? A service-based economy. I'm sure that there are going to be some businesses that are going to want to try to cut costs and try to implement that kind of automation into their business to even interact with customers to some degree, right? We're not there. It's not. It's not going to work on a large scale degree, at least not yet. Like, is it coming? I don't know, but the world isn't ready for that as of yet. I know I saw some weeks ago, I saw some restaurant, and I believe it was overseas though, that they had no employees there, and it was all automation. You place your order, all through, a touch screen or something like that. Your food comes out, there's no employees there whatsoever. And it didn't work. It didn't work at all, because they found out that humans liked having that kind of personal touch, that kind of personal communication with somebody.
I think anybody who's worked in, it's not, I mean, even like you said, the 73% of our economy is service-based. But even if it's not service-based, I think that like there are certain industries where a person can't be replaced. And if anybody has worked with the public in any capacity, no matter what your occupation is, you can kind of see that.
Yeah.
My last job, essentially, it was almost like people wanted an excuse to come in there. People like give themselves an excuse to shop just to be around people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, the restaurant who experimented with the no employees. I saw the same thing with like a convenience store that had no employees, had nothing. Like basically, like you just wave something in front of the door opened, you came in there and picked your thing out and just waved your thing, and the door opened back up and you left.
It's
like basically like a vending machine, but in a vending room, vending store.
We're not there. Like, I don't know that we'll ever get to that point, because you really just take the human aspect out of it. You know, there's no high, there's no personal touch. You know, and people, like you said, if people were using, like, creating a reason to come into the store, they need that personal interaction, you know, and we're just not there. It's too robotic. It's too cold.
Even self-checkout at the grocery store requires somebody to be up there.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes two.
Yeah, it does. Because there's going to be problems. There's always going to be a problem. You can't just rely on robots or technology for everything. There's going to be a problem. Like the thing I was thinking about in like a restaurant, like, what if there's a spill? What happens? There's no employees. What about if something breaks? There's no employees. That makes no sense.
There's gonna be a robot to come fix it. There's a mechanic robot to fix the other robots.
Like, to some people, I think that might sound cool. Like, oh, style, yeah, but it's in application. Nah,
yeah,
it's not gonna be cool.
We're way off. Yeah. We're way far off.
That's like Jetsons type stuff, and I think as a kid, like watching the Jetsons, I'm like, man, wonder by the time we grow up, is it gonna be Jetsons gonna be flying cars out there and stuff? And nah, man, like, it won't be around our time. Like, we're gonna be like far gone before like technology actually just takes over everything.
Oh, I see your comment, Moose Gal. It was from a title from an article, How to Protect Workers from the Automation Wave by Raja Krishnamurthy from, I don't know, Crane's Chicago Business. So she was referencing an article. Sounded like more like a question, but yeah, I guess it still sparked a conversation. But it still can't protect us from something that's already here. I'm just saying. We're gonna do any cook. We got any
We have no callers. We put the phone number up. Anybody that's watching, there is the number and the ID number if you have a question or a comment. Oh yeah. The man, flu season, man. Flu season is fierce. It was deemed an epidemic. I saw that. The rate of people catching the flu keeps increasing. Like this week, it's increased. It's
just in time for CDC cuts.
Yeah. Yes.
We talked about that the last show.
Yeah, we talked about that the last show. Cutting everywhere, man. CDC, HUD, and like I said, we talked about all the cuts to this budget proposal, EPA. There was one other thing that we were talking about being cut before. Oh yeah, cuts to the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. No new money for them. They don't want any money. Mulvaney's like, we're good. We don't have any consumer things to do, you know. We don't have any consumers to protect or anything like that. We're good.
We don't have a consumer to protect. We don't have an environment to protect.
No. But yeah, like I said, the flu is this flu season is really devastating. I saw this story of this one woman that died because she was a second grade teacher. This was in Texas, I believe, Weatherford, Texas, and she was a 38-year-old woman. You know, she had a 10-year-old daughter, 7-year-old son, married, and she started feeling ill last Monday, but still went to work. By Wednesday, she was diagnosed with influenza B, and she developed pneumonia. So then Her condition didn't improve. She was admitted to the hospital on Friday, and she died, I believe, Sunday morning. Now, what's interesting about the story is that she was prescribed some medication for the flu, but she didn't fill that prescription because it costs over $100. I think it was like $116 for the medication. So she saw that and was like, nah, I'm good. Now later on, I don't know how much later on, it didn't specify, but her husband, I guess, found out that she didn't fill that prescription, and he went ahead and filled it for her. But I don't know if too much time had elapsed by then, and you know, when she did start taking it, it just didn't have the same effect, you know, as when she was supposed to take it earlier. I don't know, but that just, you know, kind of made me think, like, you know, if I have a prescription for $116, if that's what's going to cost for medication, but that just, I am going to take a second look at it. You got to cut it out. You know, if I have a but yeah, if there's a prescription for $116, I'm going to take a second look at, or I'm going to think twice about actually filling that prescription. $116 for medicine? That's a very large cost. And I can understand why she thought, thought twice about it. But in this case, it may have led to this woman's death, you know? So it's not just that, this story, or I mean, I guess this situation isn't just about how devastating this flu season has been. It's about healthcare in this country. It's about prescription costs in this country. Not everybody has healthcare. Not everybody is able to get prescriptions at a reduced cost either. So this woman had a job. There's a lot of people that don't have a job, or maybe have a lesser job than being a teacher, and is not able to afford $116 on some medication. What's going to happen to them as well?
And, you know, if you kind of link this conversation with kind of our first, lead-off story as the budget, it looks like the situation they're making, potentially can make the situation even worse for people like this. Right. Got some, somebody said they tried to call, but it kicked them out or something. So I don't know what's going on. So they're asking questions in the chat, apparently, because they can't seem to get on. So Jay Scott asks us, are you guys noticing whether the unity on the left is getting any better or worse? I feel like we are still stuck, if not getting worse.
The bomb is like, it's still going off.
So we still got nuclear fallout.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the radiation, like all of that is still, making its way around, and still kind of killing people off and stuff. Not actually, but metaphorically. They're killing their progressivism and all of this, or killing their care, really. I don't, we're no better than we were 2 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, I believe. If anything, I think we are worse off. There's no real unity I see. There's not a actual movement where everybody is like, okay, we actually have to come together. We have to do this, and this is how we got to get it done.
People's priorities somehow changed from, advocating for, like, trying to get things done and trying to, like, push for everyone to come together so we can kind of, I guess, brainstorm on how do we go forth for a future. Yeah, it was kind of going there, with kind of,
or did we just think it was going?
We thought it was going there because people kind of, I guess, put all their eggs in that
Bernie basket.
The Bernie basket, and so after that Bernie basket, didn't pan out. Yeah. People tended to go in their little separate little corners, and it just seems as if even politics in general is not even their focus. Their focus is just they want to blow everything up or blow one side up. You know what I'm saying?
This is why I think, like, maybe nothing actually changed. Of course a little bit changed, but we may not realize how little change, because back when Bernie was still a candidate in the Democratic primaries, a lot of attention was being placed on Hillary Clinton. Fast forward a year and a half later, or even 2 years later, a lot of attention is still being placed on Hillary Clinton, even though she's not a candidate, even though she's not running for president, even though she's not the president. So a lot of people that were, claim that they were in this movement, claim that they wanted progress, seems like they're still stuck in 2016, and their focus is as strong as it was back then on Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama.
So basically, like, the priorities from the primaries and from the general election, where everything was about, I guess, the ongoing competition and the ongoing, I would say, contrast between Bernie Sanders and the rest of the Democrats. People seem to still be kind of stuck in there. And not like, and almost like relinquishing their ability to have a voice. I do see a lot of gravitation towards, like, you're more, I don't know, political hyperbole in the form of conspiracy. And I just think that devoting so much time to things like chemtrails doesn't get us anywhere. It's not. I'm sorry.
What can we do about it?
I'm just saying, because that's been a thing for the past 50 years.
Yeah. What can we actually do?
What can we? What can we actually do?
Like, what movement could we actually perform?
Yeah, because there's some people who offer commentary and they call themselves progressives, who kind of, that's everything is kind of revolves around, chemtrails, talking about I don't know, GMOs, talking about like I don't know, like clandestine operations with CIA and all this other stuff. Just, I don't know, like
even talking about the deep state. Like, how do you attack the deep state? Like, everybody knows that, okay, well, whatever the deep state is, to whoever's saying it, they're like behind the curtain. You can't see them. You don't even know who they are. You can kind of be like, you can just apply that to somebody, say, hey, Hillary Clinton is part of the deep state, without, like, I mean, like, or how could you actually say that for sure? It was like, I don't know. But anyway, a lot of these people, that you don't know. So how would you actually fight against them?
Yeah,
a faceless individual.
And I'm not saying it's like these things are like completely, off the table as a topic, but it's like when like everything surrounds, first of all, people want to like somehow disengage from everything as far as like, I wouldn't say just activism, but even supporting activism, because you don't have to be an activist. You can, support activism, which is fine. But people have kind of gone away from that, and now they just want to cover like all of this like big stuff. You know what I'm saying? They want to cover all this big stuff. They want to cover like I said, chemtrails. They want to talk about like GMO. They want to talk about weather, modification. They want to talk about, stuff like that. Like, that's great, but like at the end of the day, how's it helping everyday people? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you're not involved in politics anymore, actually.
No.
Especially in like in that deep state conversation, you're not involved in politics anymore.
Like, I have no interest in talking about the deep state. And for some people, that might be a problem. Maybe I understand, maybe I don't. But I'd rather focus my time on people that actually have faces. You know what I'm saying? Like people that I can see that are doing damaging things. Yeah, it's very possible. I think it's very probable. I think it's definite that a lot of these people have strings. A lot of these people are acted on behalf of people that we can't see. Right? And you may say those people are the deep state. Cool, no problem. But we got to fight against these people that actually have positions that are creating so much chaos in our society, in our economy, in our world. Like, we have to fight against them. Like, they are the people that have faces. You can't fight against people that have no faces. You don't know who they are.
Yes,
you got to you got to fight against those people first. And how we do that is we actually, you know, we can actually come together on issues. Like, we have to become issue based. We can no longer just unite around a candidate, because we see what happened with Bernie Sanders. We did that. It didn't work. Bernie lost. What happened to the movement? It got scorched. The bomb just, like I said, we're still in the nuclear fallout from that. So we can't tie all of our motivations, all of our political aspirations, all of our goodwill and need for progress. We can't attach that to any one candidate or any two or whatever, a political party. No, we have to unite around these issues so that we can actually, like, that will always sustain itself. Like, the way you think about an issue, that's not going to change. So if you want progress on that issue, that is going to sustain. If we all want the same damn thing, we can actually get something done.
Mr. Dead, something in my pocket, said, you fight the deep state by bringing their lies into light of day. Secrecy is who's they? That's the point we're talking about. You're still faceless. And like, when you just say they, you're still referencing some faceless people that you don't ever get to see.
But what lies, though?
But what lies? Like,
they aren't telling any lies because they're not there to tell them.
They're not telling.
They're telling them through the face people.
The face people. So when you say their lies, when you say they, I really hope you're talking about the people who are in control, and you have the names, and you don't. You can't just say CIA. You can't just say NSA. You can't even say the individuals who are like the director, like Mike Pompeo. You can't even say you can't even tell me the people who are behind him, like the individuals, the people, the names. And do they really care about their lies being put on blast? Do they really care about that? Like, I think that's a very I don't know, that it's a misconception that somehow lies deter them from their agenda, and they don't. So that's how it's always been. Like, whatever lies get exposed, all they're worried about is power. When you have power, it doesn't matter what lies come out about you, especially if you're faceless.
Yeah, that's true. Moose Guy was saying, yeah, like the Justice Democrats candidates are uniting under one platform. I mean, that's good. I mean, yeah, we're not against. I won't say we're against the Justice Democrats. Like, it's just that, like, I know part of the movement is like, yeah, you know, we're going to reform the Democratic Party, and I mean, that's a tall order that I don't yet believe in. Now, you know, there's a lot of Democrats that are running that I'm sure I can get behind. I'm sure I am behind. It's just that, yeah, I don't think, I don't think there will ever be a time in my life where I will ever get behind a political party. I don't care what party that is, Green Party, some new party, Democratic Party. I don't care what it is, because once you give them your undivided attention, like your undivided support, it's over. It's completely over. They're going to make decisions where you're going to have to make excuses for. You can be like, well, that wasn't great, but hey, they're the lesser of two evils, no.
Somebody asked where do we see alternative media going, and also where do we see mainstream media going?
Where do we see it going?
I mean, alternative media is not going to change. Honestly, it's always been the same. There have always been kind of like voices to act as some sort of counterbalance to what the mainstream is offering forever. I don't think, we're like, alternative news has always been around. Just, it may look different because of, I guess, different platforms are available now.
The internet has made the reach more, or made access, visibility better, access to, the different parts of the country that you wouldn't normally have access to. It made that all better. But where is where's, you know, independent media going? I don't know. I don't think that's. I think that story has to play itself out. I don't know if we can actually say that, because you can't just say that independent media is all good, because there's a lot of bad independent media out there.
Yeah, because it's like
a lot of independent media that has a lot of followers, has a big audience that are leading people astray, leading people down the wrong road.
There's this misconception that alternative media is by far superior than mainstream media, when it is not. It's like there's still misinformation and distortion on all kinds of alternative media platforms. We just, you know, we were watching some video that said Denzel Washington said this. Remember that? Denzel Washington said this, and it had a picture of Denzel Washington. In an interview, Denzel Washington said this, and obviously it was slanted in a way that validated this particular media's political leanings. Everybody in the comments was like, yeah, that's right, Denzel. Denzel's woke. Denzel knows what's up. And I'm like,
it was not corroborated, by anything. No video, no quotes from him.
The best question to ask is not where alternative media is going, is where are people going? Alternative media only exploits people's, like, I guess, their ignorances or their intelligence. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's either one or the other. And so I just think people have this idea that simply because something is not mainstream that it's edible. And it is not, because this is much distortion in mainstream, because it's sometimes the angle is more about amassing an audience, retaining an audience, being more hyperbolic, being more controversial, just being more just in your face. Like, whatever the shtick is, I think that is unfortunately the focus to a lot of alternative like news platforms. There's few that I pay attention to, maybe a couple of handfuls that are always on point and don't rely on any kind of sensationalism. I don't want to name any because I don't want to leave any out.
I think to just flatly answer the question, independent media is on the rise. You know, it's on the rise. It's going to gain more steam. There's going to be more people that are involved in it, more voices, new voices. And, you know, I think business understands that too. I mean, of course, YouTube understands that. Facebook understands that. Facebook is, you know, allowing platforms to monetize videos now. You know, you have to have a certain amount of, you know, pull. You know, you have to have a certain amount of support. But still, they're doing that for pages now. So they understand that a lot of it, you know, a lot of emphasis is being geared towards social media and different platforms, not really like cable TV. So again, it's on the rise. It's just, what is that going to mean? Not much different. I mean, it's not going to mean much difference, because the same crap that you're going to see on cable news, you're going to see that in independent media as well. So, you know, it's not a lot different. We're going to be faced with the same old. I think
same personal biases.
Yeah, Muska, I believe, asked what mainstream media is good. Mainstream media that's good. It's like
what do you define as mainstream? Do you define,
and what do you find as good too?
Yeah, what do you define as mainstream? What do you find as good? You know what I'm saying?
Like a lot of the sources that I go to, I go to The Hill for information, The Intercept, Raw Story, New York Times.
Just for stories.
Yeah, just for stories. Now, with a lot of these different publications, though, there are opinion articles. I rarely ever read those. Like, because what I'm looking for is the straight news. I want the reports of information. And then I take that report, and then let's see, I may go to another source and be like, okay, let me see what they're saying about it. And if they link up, then I'm like, okay, maybe I can form an opinion based on these reports now, you know, or at least at least I have the knowledge to where I can talk about it intellectually. So, like I said, I mean, as long as CNN, I go to CNN sometimes too for the news. So as long as you are getting news from different sources, then, I mean, it's all good, you know? I mean, I won't say one is like, that much better than the other. It's just, you know, verify it, make, you know, get
like,
2 sources, 3 sources, you know.
Or if like you just really, if you really need to get, like, I guess, if you really want to like pay attention to maybe what activists like are saying, you know, you might want to focus on, you know, your very small networks.
That's not mainstream news.
That's not mainstream news.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're just asking specifically mainstream, you just it's you can't just pick just one. You know what I'm saying? Because they all have their you know their limitations. So
no doubt. Like, one thing I know that we do too is that we don't. There's sometimes a story comes out where there's not enough information yet, but we see that some people decide to report on that story anyways, and then there's added information that, of course, is going to come out that's going to add something to the story, add something to your own narrative. You know, the way you talk about it. Those stories we hardly ever cover, and if we do, all we're gonna say is that, okay, this is the information that's out there right now. We don't really have a lot to say about this. That's it. We're just gonna address it. But to actually, you know, go into a dialogue about some stories, like, you need, like, sometimes you just need to put the brakes on and just wait until some more information comes out. And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
And then they get caught up and be like, oh, well, you know, I gotta, you know, fix my original.
Sometimes they don't fix it.
Yeah, that's true. They don't. Yeah, they don't correct themselves. So anyway, all right, it's 9:30. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna go to Facebook for a little bit and do the after show. We appreciate everybody that made it to this broadcast on Tuesday. Had a lot to talk about. Of course, this budget is gonna be something that is gonna go on for a little while. You know, Congress is gonna be discussing this, and we'll see how it goes. You know, again, this is an election year, and to ask Republicans to kind of fight for some of these initiatives that Trump is putting forward might be a tall order, might be a little bit too much to ask, but we'll see. Like I said, a lot of the stuff in that proposal I don't think has any chance of actually getting done. And my number one that I don't think will get done is the cuts to the Department of Education. I don't think that's gonna get done at all. Like, no chance whatsoever. That's just my personal opinion though. But anyway, appreciate everybody that's been here. Jay, Jenny, Diesel D's, Marshall, Warren, Miss Tree, Ray Clues, all of y'all, Grandma Christine. Thank you all for watching. And like I said, we'll be on Facebook in a few minutes. We'll be back on Thursday on YouTube, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same time, same place. Got anything else, Mike?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good.
You good?
Just ready to hit this after show, after party.
But yeah, and a special shout out to all of our patrons on patreon.com/LTMB. Thank you for the financial assistance and keeping this broadcast moving, keeping us on the air, you know, because, you know, we do need a little bit of financial assistance. YouTube is not what it used to be. Not what it used to be. There was one person that actually
It was Jim.
Was it Jim?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. It was Jim. Thank you, Jim, for the support and the contribution. Thank you for always watching the show too, Jim. Calling in. We didn't have any callers today. I don't think did we have any callers? We didn't have any callers last time too. People are getting scared, man. Y'all getting scared? Yeah, don't get scared on this now. I think no. Hold on. Last time we had. Was that the last time when we had the guy calling about the Dodge conspiracy? Was that the last time?
Was that Jay?
Was that Jay?
I
think that was Jay. I think that was Jay. About the Dodge conspiracy.
You tried to act like you wasn't feeling it, and then you started.
I ain't feeling it. You still ain't feeling it.
And then you started kind of
walking back
backpedaling a little bit. You started moonwalking. You did it smooth. You did it smooth to where we couldn't tell. But
nope. Anyway, but yeah, appreciate everybody. that's been here today, tonight, and we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be back on Thursday. Hope everybody has I think I need some water.
True that. You didn't have the water
I
today.
had no water today. Anyway, hope everybody enjoyed the program, and I hope everybody has a good night. We will see you on Thursday. All right. Peace out.